Ladies and gentlemen, I'm douchebag Daryl, and this is a crazy. That was terrible. That was horrible.
Keep it going.
We'll keep it going. My name is douchebag Daryl. We've got Deepak Snyder and Bovine Jovi. It's the Guys Who Cry podcast.
Hey, boy, take me down to the paradise city where the grass is
green and the girls are pretty.
Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah, take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the
girls are pretty.
Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah, boy.
Oh my gosh, I can't do this wig anymore.
You can't do the wig, but I thought it was good.
So hot.
Our voices sounded so good.
It did sound good. Welcome.
I like having a light, airy, slightly effeminate voice. It's very relaxed. It's
You already have that.
Well, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that because
you already have it.
I make people comfortable in a room because they feel not intimidated.
Do less,
Reuben,
God bless.
You intimidate people with your "Do less, God bless" shirt.
I do not imitate.
You're good at imitating people, though.
I do. I've been working on a few.
Bob Dylan. No,
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. It's I don't know. I don't know. That's
because he's always doing commentary on stuff.
He's doing like some sort of weird commentary.
This very specific political opinion. He hates banks, stuff like that. Women, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
the
know.
one was like about. He's like, the Me Too movement. It's like, okay, all right, everybody, don't get all quiet on me. He gets all worked up. He's just,
And then he balances it out with just like, hey, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I love his comedy because we were talking about comedy before, and it's just a way of making light of things. And I think it's getting harder to do that, but Bill Burr does it in a way that like he talks about taboo topics, but like makes it so approachable and so funny.
I love when people say, oh, things are changing now. It's harder to say what you want to say without criticism, blah, 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 blah. I just think those sweeping generalizations are generally never true. But I understand the sentiment.
Yeah. Also, we did have a guest planned for today.
We did.
I want to say.
Good to mention.
So this is kind of off the cuff a little bit. This is a little bit improv, if you will.
But we're good at that, baby. That's what we do.
As Michael Scott called it, it's like jazz. It's like ba-da-da, da-da-da, su-da-do, su-da-da. I love anytime I can sprinkle in The Office.
It's great.
Sign me up.
Your impressions are great, though. But we talked about comedy being used during a time when, tragedy in the world strikes. And for some people, I've posted silly posts during time like of coronavirus or during times when there's a particular outbreak or something that very tragic has happened. And I've had some friends be like, hey, this is a very serious time. Like, you shouldn't be joking around being silly. And the counter to that, as other friends have pointed out, hey, this is a time when we need a distraction.
Right.
This is a time when people need to kind of forget about, hey, things are really hard right now.
Truth.
So I do think you need to be sensitive about maybe making fun of people's tragedy. If it's really offending someone, you don't have to. But you can joke about other things. What do you think? I mean,
that's tough.
Joking is supposed to be edgy and crossing the line. That's what I've heard comedians say.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a little bit. There's supposed to be truth to it.
Yeah.
You can use the Chris Rock example if you really wanted to get crazy with it. I feel like it's been beat to death.
But with the alopecia, like I thought it was like he didn't need to say that, but it is kind of the point.
You sit in front row.
Right, it's front row.
Come on.
It's not even a life-threatening illness.
But also, that whole relationship between Jada and Will is really messed up.
Very strange.
Yeah, it's a weird relationship. It's all this stuff coming out. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, that would be interesting to talk about, though.
Plowing ahead.
As
Bill Burr would say.
We'll just come up with topics on the fly, even though we had a couple of things.
We were talking about Bill Burr, and like one of the bits that he has is about the Me Too movement. Yes. It's kind of a little bit edgy, but not really, because he says one of the taglines of the Me Too movement was "Believe all women."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, really? All women?" He's like, "Why don't we make it a little bit lower, like 88% of women?"
Yeah, right.
And it's funny because like we were talking about, so you just mentioned sweeping generalizations and like sweeping statements about a certain group of people.
Yeah, stereotypes, all that.
Always gets me upset. I was hanging out with a person a couple weeks ago.
In your favorite bar?
Yeah, my favorite bar. We were having this discussion, and it really got me because I was like, you can't say all men are emotionally unavailable.
Is that what she said?
That's what she said. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to disagree with you there. And she's like, you're not going to use the not all men thing. And I was like, I'm 100% going to use that argument in this situation because it isn't. You can say a majority of men are emotionally unavailable. I can see your point with that. You know, you can see based on my experience, a lot of the men are emotionally unavailable. But to just say all men, and then she followed up with like another statement about white people that like really kind of upset me.
Yeah.
She said all white people are inherently racist, and that's like a whole nother topic we can talk about. But like,
well, and I think what bothers me is that people don't admit their limited experience. If they just said, hey, look, I'm a little bit jaded. In my personal experience, the men that I have dated are emotionally available. Probably a true statement. That could be very well true. Totally fine. What I think bugs me is that people just think, well, my reality is the entire reality of the world. It's like, try not to be so narrow-minded. Like, you don't know everything.
Right.
You don't know how all people are. So have a little bit of humility. But, you know, most people just know their own experience, and they kind of can't even think outside of that.
Yeah, and we're in an era too where like everyone's voice is amplified a little bit now because like we're trying to be more inclusive of other people's voices and like listening to people. So it's like it's tough now because like you don't want to discredit someone's opinion, but like you also have to be realistic about your opinion. Like I just I always say I feel like if you ever have an argument for something, you should try to understand why the other person is against you, and
100%.
And like that's what always, I had a issue with kind of a family member, and we were talking about COVID and like masks,
family members like particularly like very toes the party line of the Democrat Party or liberal,
and so like I'm pretty
ideology.
Moderate. I feel like I lean a little bit more liberal most times, but like I think there is a point where it kind of gets on my nerves where like people aren't able to see the other point of view.
Yeah. It's the degree to which you take a particular side. Like, it's fine. We all lean in one particular direction or another, but it's the staunchness to which you adhere to a particular side. That's a little bit like, hey, look, your opinion's not the only one. Like, I am very liberal, socially, politically, even economically, all that stuff. But I have friends who voted for Trump and all that stuff. And I have also come from a religious background. So I have some empathy for how other people perceive politics, people they vote for, all that stuff. I do kind of get it. And you need that. I think the lead to have any sense of like community and building consensus, you've got to be able to empathize with other people a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing to learn. We were going to get last week into debating versus arguing because we had a pretty big argument last week. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I think it's a blast, but Reuben's always like,
I'm not a fan. I hate negative things.
I just think it's interesting to listen to later.
Yeah.
These are the podcasts I like to listen to when we disagree.
But we were talking about the difference between that. Like debating, I think is usually respectful.
Yeah.
And like they're two sides that you are debating.
Right.
Like why you believe that. You're not trying to convert the other person. You're saying this is why I believe what I believe. This is what the other person's like, this is why I believe what I believe.
It's sort of very professional. You know what I mean? There's this side, here's this side. We both represent a different side, and let's.
Yeah, arguing is more like in your face and they're like pointing at you.
It's kind of like you have a different opinion. I don't want to see from your perspective. You're wrong. You know what I mean? And
it's tough though. It takes a while to get to that point. I mean, especially when you're younger, you think you know everything. You know?
Yeah, that's my thing. I talked about that with someone recently where I think sometimes people will mistake my, maybe some of my goofiness or my aloofness or whatever for being like incompetent or not as smart or whatever. And a lot of times I just want to say, look, I don't need to pretend to know something I don't know anything about. So if somebody's like, oh, what's your opinion on, I don't know, baking this cake or something? It's like, well, I can make up an opinion, but I'll just be like, I just don't really know, And I don't have any problem saying, you know what, I really don't know how to get from point A to point B in the car, because there's that stereotype of, men never like to ask for directions. So just be like, I don't know. Let's ask somebody, I don't know. But what if somebody says you're humble? Do you accept it? Has anybody ever said, hey, Reuben, you're pretty humble. I think you're a pretty humble guy. How would you respond to that? Because somebody said that to me before, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say.
I say thank you. I mean, usually it just means you're pretty self-aware, I think. It means like you're pretty aware of like how you were brought up. Like I know I'm a pretty good chef.
Yes.
But like, I also know I'm not the best at what I do. I know I'm really good at what I do, but I'm also humble enough to say, oh, like, what are you doing? Oh, let me learn from other people.
Yeah.
I think that's being humble, is like being open to other things.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe. Does that answer your question?
I mean, I just know that I'm really humble, and it's kind of a gift that God has given me.
Yeah.
So just based on the way I dress.
Yeah, your stomach's so full from the pride that you swallow.
Yeah, that's great. That's from the Andy Samberg song. It's my favorite song.
Yep, 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 yep.
Oh, we got to put a link to that song. It's great.
Yeah, it's called Humble.
Humility is an interesting thing that we sometimes think we have, and then at moments we realize we're not very humble. It definitely comes out. So we're all flawed. I think that's the best thing to recognize as humans, is that we've all got something to improve forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can we just give a quick shout out to Greg? Greg was having a rough go of before we recorded.
Set everything up tonight. Everything worked immediately, which is usually pretty rare.
Well, we had a little recording already, and then
thought we
everything
recorded.
blew up.
Then everything blew up, and Greg fixed everything.
Look at this, Greg.
Greg is patient.
Greg's the miracle.
Because Greg is always like, I'm sorry. I'm like, we're Greg. Well, you're doing all the work. So
it was my fault.
Okay.
No, Greg. No,
it's also your fault that this looks so great and sounds so good. So
Yeah,
I hope it looks good.
Well, I angled that light a little bit like this, so
you did. I just showed up.
I mean, that's my credit, right? No, I'm just kidding.
I just show up.
Hey, you did schedule the guest. You did schedule.
Yeah,
the guest.
it's a shame. We were gonna have and we'll try to get him back on.
Yeah.
We were gonna have my buddy Emery on, who does drag, and he was gonna show up in drag and kind of educate us and maybe you guys too who listen about drag culture and like where it falls on like
drag queens
sexuality spectrum, because there are straight men that do drag and like where like some of these questions we were gonna have. So we're super looking forward to that.
Yes,
we will get him back on soon. We have a couple other topics coming up too soon that we're trying to schedule.
I have a couple people I've talked to too that would be interesting to have on.
We are trying to talk about eating disorders and eating disorders. Other things, so
it's great to have. And this is what we talked about, having people on that maybe have a different perspective, maybe one that we're sympathetic to, but we don't necessarily know a lot. I mean, I don't know a lot about drag culture and the different perspectives behind that, but I love to learn about that, and I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Because, it's just, any type of person who exists, who expresses themselves in a certain way, there's some people who agree or disagree, but we have to admit those people exist. And so we want to understand each other a little bit better. And if we do that, we increase the amount of peace in the world. And I think that's what we all want, right? Like, we should, I would hope.
And you don't have to agree with what they do or like 100%
or express yourself in that way. If you don't want to, that's fine, right?
You just got to respect it. You don't have to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how I still kind of feel about like, like we had Lucas on, he answered a bunch of questions on about trans, and like, still is a lot that I don't get.
Right, transsexuality.
And like, I genuinely respect that. Whatever, that's a side that I respect, and I'm not going to sit here.
Transgenderism, I guess, yes.
Yeah, wherever that fall, But still, I think it's important that we are opening other people's opinions to these like different cultures and stuff.
Good to understand.
I'm very excited about the drag. Because I have a lot of questions.
Definitely would be really cool.
Lots of questions.
People don't understand why I wear skinny jeans, but, I do. Reuben doesn't understand, but it's okay.
I mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
I wore skinny jeans like 6 years ago.
I know. Hey.
It's okay.
They're still in sometimes.
Sure. Sure. It looks like you're wearing clown shoes when you wear the skinny jeans and the big shoes.
No. I know. Sometimes that's ridiculous. You do have to kind of fit it the right way. That was interesting, though, because the girl that I'm talking to now whatever, it doesn't matter. A girl that I'm talking to now has very beautiful, but has a more simple style. Mine has a lot of hip hop elements in it, so it can be a little more like embellished or outlandish, not outlandish, but a little more eye catching.
Loud
is a good way. So she was saying, she's like, oh, sometimes I would dress a little more simple for her. I would just put on my Vans, a pair of pants, and like just a plain sweatshirt. And she'd be like, oh, you dress simple. And she'll tease, and she'll be like, oh, you dress simple for me today, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I know you kind of like, I don't want to like make you feel bad. Like, I just want to like dress more simple, so like accommodates your style a little bit. And I'm not really changing my personality, because I like dressing like that too sometimes. But I was asking Reuben before the show, I was like, how much would you change something about yourself, an aspect of your personality or style or whatever, to accommodate someone you're talking to? And you said none whatsoever. But
changing? No.
But I was just
changing
like saying accommodating.
Is a pretty big.
Yeah, not really
That's
changing,
a pretty like aggressive term. I would never like change something about myself. Now,
how would you compromise?
Compromise 100%.
Watch more sitcoms if they like, or romantic comedies, or would you listen to more of their type of music if they liked it?
100%.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not going to change the way I dress for somebody. I dress the way I dress because I like the way I feel when I dress. I don't know if you should change. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Well, and the range of what I wear is pretty wide anyway. So I'll dress simple, dress crazy, whatever.
Just say dress the way you want to dress.
You're exactly right.
That's what I say. That's what I say.
No, I agree. I agree.
Changing is a very big term for.
Yeah, and the way ever change. The way I phrase that, obviously,
I don't think you should never change. Compromise is good. I think
the core of who you are. You want to find somebody who aligns with the core of who you are, and if it's different, but you both like each other and you accept each other, that's good. Yeah, there's a lot of couples who are very different, but they still love each other and make it work, and I think that's cool. It's like I accept your difference. Doesn't align with mine. Maybe you like to watch different TV shows than I do. All right, fine. You watch your TV show, I'll watch my TV show, and we'll, hang out. My parents do that. They're very different.
Yeah, Cortland does that.
Yeah.
Cortland and Jaleesa do that. Cool.
Cortland and Jaleesa, do they have very different like tastes in music and movies and stuff? Or
I know like Cortland's got Jaleesa to start watching some anime. So, like that's something I kind of understand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, hey, I want you to understand like and that's fine. But that's not like Jaleesa's not changing herself to be like, I'm an anime fan now. Like,
no. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think,
and it's good to like get a little insight into each other's interests. I think, which is kind of cool.
Greg, as the married person in the room,
yes.
Was there anything you like? What was one of the biggest compromises you had to do with Kim when you guys first started like dating?
You said cleaning up.
Oh, yeah, cleaning up. I'm a mess.
I'm just kidding.
I have to. So I will say thank you to Kim.
Yes,
because right now she is tolerating a computer sitting next to a coffee table, like under the edge of the coffee table that sticks out, and there's a full monitor like this on the coffee table where I'm debugging things for the show.
That's awesome.
So was there anything that like she got into because of you or that you got into because of her?
Yeah, interests.
Oh yeah, Lifetime television I got into because of her. She gets me sucked into all those little movies where like there's either an evil mother-in-law who's out to wreck the marriage.
It'll do it.
Has to have a C-list actress like Lacey Chabert or Candace Cameron Bure.
Yes.
That's a big one. And it's like Tracy's a small town girl from a big city. She has to go back to the old steel mill, which is gonna close down unless she takes over for her sick dad. And then there's like some like hunky dude. You know what I mean? It's like there's like the hot guy, and then like the guy that's like, oh, he's supposed to be the guy that you don't expect, but you totally expect.
But they're good.
It's like the bumbling like secretary guy that has glasses on, and then when he takes his glasses off, he's like super hot. It's like Henry Cavill in like a glasses. You're supposed to believe that Henry Cavill is not some hot guy.
Henry Cavill is Superman. Yeah,
yeah, but like obviously it's not Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Those actors, it always ticks me off. Like, you're supposed to try to make me believe at one. Like, what was that movie? Just Friends. Remember that movie with Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, barely. Yes,
I
remember it.
Stop trying to make me believe that these attractive people are at any point in their life not attractive. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But the thing is, it's a story, and if it's written well, anybody can sort of get behind it. I mean, it's not believable to a lot of people, but I think it goes to show that if it's a romantic comedy, a Lifetime movie, it doesn't matter what gender you are, where you come from. If it's a good story about people, it can grab you, which I think is very interesting.
Crazy for that.
Good storytelling doesn't matter who you are. If it's about people and it's about a journey or trial, tribulation, happiness, sadness, those themes stand the test of time, and anybody can get into it, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
I don't know. I was just, I don't know.
Get all philosophical about it.
No, I don't. I just, it's funny because like they all have the same, like, it's the same way.
A similar structure or formula. I guess most stories throughout history kind of do. Even if you go back to biblical times and things like that. But that's the one thing I think is so cool is that we like to see, humans always like to see, no matter how much technology comes out, artificial intelligence, robots, we like to see other people. We like stories about other people because they are the entities with whom we most identify. So I never worry about like artificial intelligence or like, oh, what if robots can like create art or make movies someday or whatever. It's like humans like to see other humans. I don't ever see that changing. We like to see other, stories written by humans, movies made by humans, humans on a screen.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just waiting for there to be a point. To that. When we were watching Morbius.
Great. Reuben hates me. That's the theme.
When we were watching Morbius last week or 2 weeks ago.
Morbius is a sci-fi movie, superhero movie.
Yeah, we went there for Julie's.
You always mention these references, and I feel like nobody knows what they are.
The movie has nothing to do with this story.
Okay, but it's a superhero movie.
Yeah, and so we went to watch Morbius for Jaleesa's birthday, and like at one point, Adam and this girl that he's seeing were like laughing, and I was next to
my friend.
I was next to Tim.
Yeah,
and they were laughing, and Tim was like, "What?" And Adam just said, "Oh, I farted," and like all of a sudden, Tim was like, "Cool story, bro."
Yeah, my stories are terrible.
I was like, "Yeah, it's terrible, awful."
It was like the longest fart I ever did. Yeah. No, terrible. It's my stories aren't very good, and I am often the person that people like to poke fun at, and usually I'm okay with that. Usually I like it.
Yeah.
Until Reuben goes too far. It's only happened once. I'm surprised it's only happened once.
Yeah.
It made me cry almost.
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember what was said.
Had too many drinks. No, actually, I don't really remember.
It was a touchy time.
I definitely have had that. I remember my roommate and my best friend at the time, two extremely, very highly intelligent men. One's a lawyer, one's a computer programmer. We're both in a dorm room. I was there, and they started teasing me about something. I don't remember what it was. And it actually hurt me a little bit. I don't remember what it was. So I just turned around. And I was just like, guys, that genuinely hurts my feelings a little bit. And it made him feel bad because they were just having fun. They didn't mean to hurt my feelings. And it made him feel bad and they stopped or whatever. But there are those moments, I think, when there's an element of truth in someone's joke, that's like, all right, I don't make fun of you guys in that way. So what are you doing that to me for? Sometimes I feel like that.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, have you ever been, have you ever experienced teasing or bullying in any way? When you were in elementary school?
Yeah, school? In elementary school.
You remember stories about it or anything? I never asked you that before.
I don't know if I have any stories. It wasn't like consistent bullying from a single person. It was, just the typical bullying. I you know what? I'm not going to go as far and say as I was bullied horribly, because there were kids that were bullied worse than I was. I remember two kids specifically. One of them was a woman or girl, and the other was a guy, and I just both remember them on the bus getting it real bad from kids. Like they became the kid that was like the weird kid that you just didn't
kind of socially awkward, or like,
I don't know if they actually were, if they were only socially awkward because everybody nobody would sit with them on the bus.
Yep.
They were always by themselves. And I look back on it and I'm like, you know what? If 40-year-old me could go back to grade school or high school, I would sit with that kid on the bus.
Yeah.
And I would be like, you know what? Who cares if you get teased? Because all the other kids, you got afraid because you were afraid that you were going to get teased because of, being associated with them. So it was kind of like,
you don't stand up on behalf of someone else because we're afraid. And that's,
it's terrible.
I'm glad it doesn't happen. I don't experience that much now, like in my culture, like at work or anything like that. Do you, Reuben? Have you ever experienced anything like that? Or a time when you could probably stand up for people because you're in a position more of power? Like you would stand up for someone at the beginning. Do you see that happen, or even among the students that you work with?
Not amongst the students. Nothing really like that I'm in a position to really do anything about, to be honest.
Gotcha.
Like,
if
there is an issue that happens, usually if it goes up, if it's bad enough that, somebody gets, you're suspended, with pay pending investigation.
Yeah.
I can't really do anything. As much as I want to stick up for people, I can't, So, there was a situation that happened this year that kind of like pissed me off a little bit, but like, I don't want to really talk about it.
Certain things you can't really, especially when your job's and you might be on the line. You're like,
but it's like,
worth it?
It's, I think I get frustrated. I can kind of talk about it. So like we have a lot of special needs kids.
Okay.
Right. That, so we work
students.
with just employees.
Employees.
They take the bus in. They have a special bus that comes, drops them and picks them up.
Sure.
And, they're very clearly special needs, in my opinion. And so the one kid, I guess, told one of the female students that she was pretty.
Okay.
And, this chick got all offended by it, told HR, and like the kid got fired. He's like a 24-year-old special needs kid.
And he got fired. And like, I couldn't do anything about it, but me and the other manager were like, what the heck, dude? Like, how is that going to affect this kid now? You know what I mean? Moving forward, he just said this girl was pretty. Because you probably could have just told him, hey, just don't make remarks about the students. But like, it's fine.
But even so, like, if you're the student, you should be able to look at this kid and be like, special needs. Like,
yeah.
And so, it's just kind of frustrating, like those type of situations. Because we were like, what if it was like some hot jock dude that went into that she was pretty? She probably wouldn't think twice about it. And so, like, we just got, there's situations like that at work where I see, which I think is like a different form of bullying.
Yeah,
I'm like, it sucks because like this kid, I know him and I know the way he probably said it, and I was like, it's harmless.
You might think it's unrelated, but it comes back a lot to the like Twitter free speech sort of issue where corporations are so scared of some sort of backlash from students, public pressure, whatever, that they end up having to taking a stance that it affects employees or whatever. So it's the university firing an employee because they don't want backlash from parents, students, the people who pay them essentially. And that's an unfortunate, dynamic in our corporate world.
Yeah,
these days.
I mean, it is what it is. It's just, I don't know. You get kind of close to your employees, and like especially like the special needs ones, you kind of look at them as like your kids a little bit.
And they don't mean anything by it.
They don't.
Of course.
And it's just kind of frustrating when it's like, seriously, like, this is who you're gonna choose to like get like offended by.
Yeah, and they're kids too. I mean, they're
like 20. Sure, they're like 24, but they're like older. But like,
no, but the students
are like 18,
yeah,
and like,
I mean,
and it's like, listen, like, I feel like you should be able to look at a person and be like, seriously, like, this is the person you. Yeah, if it was like me, sure, 100%. Like, I could 100% see if like someone said, hey, the chef over there.
Hey, you should know better.
Yeah, call me, like, said I was really pretty. Like, I would never say that to a student. I know better.
And that has to be a policy. You can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, it just kind of stinks. So, like,
there are exceptions where you're like.
There's, like, weird different forms of bullying. Like you said, it's the free speech thing. Kind of like.
Yeah.
Like, where is this line? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Can people say whatever they want or within certain contexts? I think, people can't say whatever they want. It's not from a government legislation perspective, but from a private entity. Here's a group of people. We're all going to agree on a set of rules. You can't just say anything you want.
So are you saying that they fired a person that was actually special needs for something, Reuben?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't take legal action against the university.
Wow.
We don't have to talk about that.
No, I mean, it was just it was a situation that I just, like, the more I, like, it kind of, like, makes me, it makes me really upset.
Yeah.
Because, like, I look at it, if I was that kid's parent, I'd be like, he already has it. Yeah. He's already, like, behind a little bit, like, in life. So by somebody accusing him of something like this, like sexual harassment, which sexual harassment in this case is he just called her pretty. To me, it's like, come on,
especially with the exception of I don't know, maybe he didn't know better. I don't know his particular personality or him as an individual. May not have known that was even inappropriate.
I mean, the thing is, like, there's good, like, for example, like, we don't ever get mad at our special needs employees.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do? Get mad at somebody who's special needs for, like, not do, like, listen, man, they're here. They're doing whatever, the best they can do.
They're doing the best they can do.
We're not, like, me and the other manager were like, listen, man, if so-and-so, like, doesn't wipe all the tables down, like, whatever, man. Like, I'm not going to sit here. I'm going to tell them, hey, thanks for all your help today. You did a great job today,
Yeah.
You meet all the expectations required. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, get in their face. So,
yes.
I don't know. I think we do have to be careful. I don't think it's ever going to really get better.
Yeah.
With, like, being a little bit more deliberate about accusing people of certain things or even that way. Because it is such a fine line.
Yes.
It's not on anybody else to say how another person feels in a situation. If you feel threatened in a situation, sorry. Like, if Yeah, and if that happened to me,
Yeah.
I mean, I would try to be like, oh, I'm sorry to make you feel that way.
And we can't doubt someone's experience. If someone feels intimidated, threatened, or some way, it's most important for them to get to safety, feel safe, and go away. But I mean, there are certain circumstances that maybe someone could learn, hey, this person didn't mean something. Let's work it out. Let's talk it out. But, how can you tell that to a young woman who maybe feels somewhat threatened or uncomfortable?
Yeah, it's just a weird situation,
There's no convincing
man.
we can do,
we had that situation earlier this year where we actually did that like public service announcement kind of deal about the on campus with the domestic abuse stuff,
Yeah, and you thought that the protesting sort of went too far or whatever.
I didn't think it went too far. I
or
think
was
they were
unnecessary.
I think there were people who didn't 100% understand what was going on. They just felt like the need to be a part of something.
Yeah.
See,
that's that kind of stuff, I guess, just doesn't bother me that much. Because if a movement has to be done, I'm not going to criticize the 10% of people who are just doing it for virtue signaling or whatever. Like, the movement needs to happen if it's Me Too or whatever. There's going to be parts of that movement that aren't going to be 100% ethical, that I should criticize, that aren't completely right. But it doesn't mean the movement doesn't need to happen in general, And so I tend not to focus on that stuff too much. But I also get your point.
Right. I mean, like, I bring up the example of Coney 2012 when I was in
A while ago.
Yeah, and
what it was I
so
can't remember the
Joseph
exact.
Kony was a guy in Africa
Yes.
who was, there was a whole documentary about him. It was like child trafficking.
Yes, that's right.
And like everyone got caught up with it. Like everyone in like at UD got caught up. They were wearing Coney 2012 shirts, this, that, and the other. And then like it was a big thing for like a year, and then
Yeah, of course, people forget about it.
people forget about it.
It's like with any movement.
It's like with anything that's like popular or fad. It just kind of moved away. And
but at least there's awareness being raised about a particular issue for some period of time, and it makes a difference. It does make a difference, even if it's only temporary.
If it's a temporary difference, but then it just goes right back to being the way it was.
It's better that something happened than nothing. No?
No. I think if there's no like permanent change, I don't think it made any difference.
So human trafficking is going on.
Yeah.
There's one particular instance that's really awful, really strikes the public conscience. Let's just not say anything about that.
I mean, I think if it goes back to the way it was before, and then like what did it accomplish? Other than for a moment you were like, oh my gosh, this is bad, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right.
How do you know what public policies were changed as a result of that? You don't necessarily know. There probably
this
was
in Africa, like
but
nobody
there
went over
probably
there,
was.
and like
maybe it increased our humanitarian aid. Maybe it increased the amount of nonprofits that went over there to sort of track and help with that issue. Maybe it changed the number of UN
that's a good point.
members that went over there. So I mean, I think any change is good, even if it's small, even if it's temporary. We can't criticize it just because we're like, oh, well, it's just going to go back to the normal, or people are going to virtue signal or whatever. We need to take whatever little stands we can in little moments, because that's what changes history, is the little movements here and there over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of.
No,
I just think there needs to be a little bit. If someone is going to
You want it to be genuine.
I want it to be genuine. I don't want
understand.
someone to do it just because my friends are doing it.
Of course.
Like when I saw people walking for, the Black Lives Matter thing.
Sure.
There were people that are going just to get a picture of themselves holding up a sign. And like that was it.
Of course.
And so like to me, like I don't want that. You can have that.
That's going to happen no matter what you
Right.
do.
And like so that's like I want people that are genuine. Like I'm a genuine person. Like when I'm making change, when I try to make change, I do it in my personal life. I try to instill things in my life day to day. I don't do things to put it on social media and say, look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And like empty gestures like that are just that. It's just empty gestures. If it's not accomplishing anything of like worth, I think it's pointless.
It's just it's a percentage of people who it's just part of life. Like that's part of what it is, but the movements themselves, the activities themselves are necessary.
To a point. I mean, unless people are actually like following through too. That's a big thing. Following through with these things that you're standing up for. Follow through with it.
Yeah, people often don't,
Right. I think a lot of and people who are so loud for like a small moment in time are usually just that. They're just loud for being loud's sake.
It's just, I guess my thing is I acknowledge that that's just human nature. Like, people do that. We get excited about something or recognize something and then we forget. And that's just human nature. But it's better that something is done rather than nothing. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like the support for the World War II effort for the United States, probably was pretty big initially. Like when we first went over to Germany and had the D-Day invasion and all that, public support was probably really big, right? And then after a couple of years, people probably get tired of it or whatever. But it doesn't mean that that initial surge isn't necessary to kick off a movement that eventually changes the course of history. So, I just tend to overlook that stuff. But you're very genuine. You're looking to the genuine hearts.
Right.
And I think that's noble.
And especially like now, like back then, there wasn't, hey, look at me. I'm like riveting this shit, stuff.
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, anyone can virtue signal. We didn't have social media, but anyone can virtue signal in their community on a small scale.
Sure.
Everyone has done that throughout history, and that's just people.
Yeah, I just,
You just don't like it.
I don't like it.
That's
I don't
fine.
like it.
I don't like it.
I don't like it because
I love to find things we can debate.
Because I like genuine people. So like,
not everyone's genuine.
Yeah, I know, and like those are the people I stay away from. I stay away from people who aren't genuine, who just want to support things just for saying that they support instead of actually supporting.
Like one of the food events that you'll host or you'll put up and promote, and someone just comes because they're coming along with a friend and like, oh, this would be cool. I'll just put this on social media. I don't really care about the food. I don't care about the chefs. I just want to put on social media, show that I'm doing something.
Right.
Yeah, that would be annoying. Right. But they're coming paying money and supporting your event, so that's good.
But like, you would
rather them just not be there.
A social cause, you know what I mean?
But you would rather them just not be there and pay the money?
No, if you want to come.
Yeah.
Like.
But what if 20% of the people who support that event and actually keep it going financially just want to use it as a social media thing? They don't care about the food, the chefs, anything else. Would you? And it's actually helping to fund your thing. Would you just think, I don't want those people to come?
That's different. I'm not doing it for like a social cause. I don't want people to be like.
But what if it's your livelihood? You're a person who puts on events, and every event you need as many people to come as possible, and a good portion of them are coming for superficial reasons. Are you just in your mind? Would you just be like, I really don't want those people to come?
In my mind, yeah.
But it's the difference between maybe you being able to save money for your kid's college, or
that's not that.
No, but I'm saying
that's a very big jump.
Could be, right? It could be 20% could be the difference between like making your car payment or not.
But we're talking about like supporting a small business for like actual people rather than like, hey, look, I'm saying this. The people who are supporting, that's different than like me just saying, holding up a sign that says Black Lives Matter and that's it. You know what I mean? Like people who aren't giving money to that or who aren't supporting any of those things, who aren't doing their part in the community. Someone who's coming to me and like paying me money and like that's doing their part. They're paying me money. They're giving me money.
The impact of that is greater. And someone holding up a sign for social media and they don't really care about the cause, the negative impact of that is nothing.
I think it's empty. It's an empty gesture because it's an empty gesture.
It's still promoting the message. You want as many people to promote a positive message as possible. Peace to the world. I love everyone. Some people don't mean it. So what?
Right. And I'd rather have people mean it.
What's the difference?
Because then there's more genuine people in the world.
But there's a certain amount of people that just aren't genuine, that are evil, that are wicked, that are unethical, that are whatever. People. I don't necessarily like those people either. But first of all, we're hypocritical because none of us are perfect anyway.
Right.
So I just say, let's support the movement. Let's not criticize the minority of people within it that are not genuine, because it takes away from, hey, we still need this movement. We need the Me Too movement. We need it. There's crap that happens within the Me Too movement. That's not good. Let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the positivity of the movement.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. Like even like Bill Burr had a bit about the Me Too movement where it started off with like terrible stuff.
Sure.
The initial stories about the Me Too movement were awful.
Of what was actually being done to women. Yeah, it's terrible.
But then like it did kind of turn into like at some point people were like, well, somebody catcalled me.
There were
right. And like that's what I'm saying.
There were examples of abuse.
Right.
But let's not focus on those. Let's deal with it as a problem internally. But let's not focus on those as taking away from the greater movement.
People are trying to bring focus to themselves about it, is what I think is the issue.
That is a problem.
That's my issue. It's like people are taking away focus from what the message is, to putting a focus on them. Says, hey, look how cool I am for supporting this.
Right.
And so like that to me is the issue.
Right.
Like that's what gets me. It's not the fact that they're doing it. It's the fact that they're doing it for superficial reasons. Like I want people, if you're going to support a cause, like you should support it and do your part in supporting it.
Yes.
Or don't support it all.
Do you feel like they're undermining the issue when they do that?
They're using an issue to propel themselves instead of actually propelling the issue.
But if they're helping move the issue forward, do you think that like that's a positive thing? Like I'm saying, like they're
what
not
is
going home
moving the issue forward.
So, like you said, if somebody's going out with a placard and standing for Black Lives Matter, and then they really don't totally understand every bit of it, or another example would be like the Occupy people a few years ago that were in the center city, Philadelphia. There were people there who didn't even know what the movement was about. But at the same time, I guess as long as they're not going home and then like doing things to move the movement backwards, are they still adding a positive net gain?
No.
I think they are, because I think the number of people matters. It doesn't have to be.
So you think it's quantity over quality?
Yeah, because not everybody understands all the nuances of financial instruments and how it all works. We need a lot of people to understand there's a disparity between the rich and poor. We know that there's a problem. We don't understand the root cause necessarily. There are experts who do, but we're just going to go out and support because we feel we know something's wrong. See, I think that's okay.
I think quality over quantity. I'd rather have people who know what they're supporting, who know what are the paperwork you can read, the books you can read, the associations you can support. I think those are very important. Like, there was also people on the flip side of it who were condemning people for not going to the marches, and it's like, well, how do you know? Like,
sure,
that was me. Somebody condemned me because they're like, well, what are you doing for your part?
Yeah, it can become a witch hunt,
and so like. Because I didn't post anything on social media, it became, Reuben's not doing anything.
Yeah. And
it's like, well, excuse me. Like, don't undermine me just because I'm not posting posting stories of me at a rally or posting a picture of me holding up a sign.
Yeah.
Like,
there is a negative aspect to any movement. If it gains a certain amount of power, that movement can be used to ostracize or alienate those who just aren't sure, maybe don't even know that there's an event to go to, and are called out for, hey, what are you doing? You're not doing your part, Kind of like the French Revolution. There was a problem with the royalty and the rich people and the people who were controlling everything. That was a real problem. So once the common people got in control, they were just like beheading everybody. And like, oh, you're not supporting our movement, we're going to behead you. And like, it can become a problem. However, I think for most of the issues we've talked about, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, all that stuff, it's not at that point where they're beheading you just because you're not going to a march. Like, I understand your point, but the negative impact to you with a little bit of criticism isn't really that great. I'd rather focus on, hey, we need this movement. Let me see what I can do to help. If you want to make fun of me for not supporting, or I forgot that there's a march and I didn't go to it, okay, fine. Let me see what I can do to change that. I don't want to put the emphasis on the small problems that are there. I want to put the emphasis on this movement needs to happen. That would be my thing.
I hear where you're coming from though, Reuben. Like, if people are like literally trying to call you out, like saying like, hey, you're not down here doing this, and that doesn't, like, you're right. That doesn't mean you don't support it. That does not mean that. But, and there's always this, like, it's like, if you're not part of something, you're immediately against it. And it doesn't, and I don't think it's like that. You're not, you can abstain and not be against something. You can actually be for it and just not be part of it.
That's why I don't put like any political message on my social media.
I don't
do any of that. Like, like, other than like, I don't know. I can't remember the last time I put any political message up on my social media, because like I just refuse to.
It's like you have to take a side.
Like,
it's like,
like, remember when everybody was putting up the black square a few years ago?
Sure.
And like, nobody actually knew why they were putting up the black square. They just said Blackout Tuesday. So like, it's things like that where like people aren't looking into why we're doing something. I think it's very important that we learn why certain things are happening. Sure. I think the why is more important than actually doing it. That's just my thing.
That's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
I don't know. I want to know what the people think. I that's why I think it's important.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Mental health check?
Yeah.
We're all mentally down in the dumps now?
No, I'm fine.
I'm kidding. No, it was a good discussion. I'm probably at an 8, still going at an 8. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
Yeah. Greg?
Same 8.
Aren't you getting into your busy season here soon?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yes and no. Like the winter is usually our really busy season.
Really?
Yeah, Christmas time.
Oh, interesting. I thought like...
But yes, it will be getting absolutely insane by about, I don't know, June, end of June. It'll be crazy.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you guys for listening today. Sorry we had a little bit of a change up, but we have good conversation as always.
Yeah.
So check us out on Instagram, Guys Who Cry Official. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you can. Just go to guyswhocry.com/YouTube. You can also see our videos on Spotify. That link will be in the Instagram bio. Any last words, gentlemen?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Check us out next week and be entertained.